Good afternoon, peoples. Let me just check something. Yeah, I think the music shouldn't be too loud. Let me know if it is. All right. The thing I didn't do, however, was a switch to the actual project I'm working on. Just hang on for a sec. Just a quick second, okay? Shouldn't take too long. Okay. There we go. There. And then this way you should in fact be able to read whatever the hell I'm doing. All right, so let's check it out. I think last we left off, there were some changes here, so quite likely that I was working on that. Here we go. Where we are, paying multiple players, where one of the players you want to pay has no miner in a transport chain, and that should not be possible. So to give you some context, when playing the board game of Magnum Sal, you've got a worker or you've got a miner in the mine shaft or in the mine chamber. You want to mine some salt. Those are those white cubes over there, and also the green ones. So when you mine stuff, you need to bring it up out of the mine shaft all in one go. So if you're unable to do that, you're also unable to mine. And in this case, let's say that the white player is trying to mine salt, so 1 cube of salt. Maybe it makes a little bit more sense here. So they could mine 2 cubes of salt here because there are no constraints there. They would need to pay for transportation of this salt for this space. Here they do not, because they have a worker in the mine shaft that is able to carry up the salt. And then here and here they still have to pay a player some zloty to carry up the salt that they just mined. Here they don't have a choice because it's just a purple player, but here they do have a choice. They have 2 choices. They've got the purple and the black, and the orange and the black player. So in my test case, something that I could test here is that I would pay the orange player 2 zloty, which is not going to be possible. So I should be mining 2 cubes of salt, of which I have to pay the purple at least 2 zloty, so 1 zloty per cube of salt and per space. Here I could do the same, and here I need to... So in total I would pay the purple player 4 zloty, for example. And then that covers all of these spaces. And then here I shouldn't be able to pay the orange player 4 zloty either. I think that's still not a good test case because 4 zloty would be too much anyway. But in any case, let me show you what I mean. There is now an issue when I'm mining. I need to say which player is mining, also at which chamber they're mining, what salt cubes that they're mining, and then also a transport cost distribution, in which, for example, in this case, I pay the black player just 1 zloty and the orange player 1 zloty. However, I have removed the orange player completely. So the thing I will do, however, is reduce this to just a single cube of salt. And then if I run this, let's also check. Hang on. Where one of the players you want to pay has no miner in the transportation chain, that should be... Maybe it's already working though. Oh, yikes. Almost knocked my glass away there. Yeah. So this will show me what the situation is of the current board basically, which is going to be helpful because, yeah, there's a bunch of setup that happens here, and then we just pass so that we can remove the orange player's workers from the mineshaft so that there's only the black player left in there. So at least the mineshaft should not contain any orange. Okay, here it doesn't really matter because the white player is there as well. Alright, so let's see, yeah? Oh yeah, so I think I do want to... yeah, so I do want to bring out 2 cubes of salt. Because there's only one spot that there's... where the white player doesn't have a worker, and that's in the, like on the corridor cross section. Let me show you. So that's over here. And if you then try to pay the orange player also 1 zloty, so for a total of 2, which is what you would need to pay anyway for 2 cubes of salt, then this should not happen, and it needs to fail, because orange is not in the transport chain, in fact. And that was a bug that we discovered last time. So let's see. I'm still trying to make sense of this part because it contains it exactly in any order. I don't want to have a payment to orange, in fact. So I don't want does not contain or something. Does not contain any of these, in fact. So I don't want any of those to have happened. I mean, this should already be enough, but you know, just to make sure we're being super explicit, this is not something that we want to have happened. So then if I run the test, it should be failing for the right reason. But now it's not, so yeah. Maybe I should turn off some other stuff on my computer here because everything is taking such a long time. Okay, expecting code to raise a throwable, but they didn't. And then the test fails, because of course. Alright, and then we can see also in the debug statements that like what exactly happened here. So you're checking strength for mining, that's all fine. They have enough money to pay for the transportation of the salt. So here we go, amount of transported salt to pay for 2. Miners to pay for transport, just a single 1. Actually, these are players, I guess, then, not specifically miners. And then white intends to pay 2 in total for transport, which is correct. Because, yeah, that's the total. Amount of transport that's all to pay for 2, it's the same thing here. Miners to pay, again, 1, but then it should explode now. Alrighty, so let's go check out how to fix that, shall we? So we've got a way to order the miners to mine, and then also a way to handle transport. I think this is where we should be for now. So let's see. Some earlier checks where you need to have enough zloty. You can't pay more zloty than is necessary. And you to only have miners in the transport chain. We already started doing something like that, and then there's this very, very long method name. Every player in the distribution should have at least 1 miner in the transport chain. And then I added some helpful comments, which is great because I completely forgot about this stuff. Does not take into account a player having multiple miners and being paid for that. So this sentence then, I guess. So we could check that a player has at least the same amount of miners and they're being paid for miners in the mine in the transport chain then, I guess. Oh yeah, right. And then I also wrote down a way to maybe do that, where we add some can cover function on this transport cost distribution thing, where we pass along a transport chain, something that we should build. And this transport chain thing is something that would remove duplication somewhere as well, because here we go. Refactor this into a transport chain class that we can reuse in a transport distribution check. So maybe now the thing I really want to do first is that the transport, like creating the transport chain, is going to much likely look like all of this, but still a little bit different, because here we are just returning the amount of transporters needed. So let's first create this transport chain so that it's useful. Or, you know what, maybe a little bit better even. Let's first just make this stuff work without even having a transport chain maybe? And then just slightly move it towards this can cover function. That will mean that I'll need to... yeah, that's the whole reason why I wanted to put it on transport cost distribution, is because right now transport cost distribution does not expose any of their internals, which is great, but then it also means that I need to put a method on here, or a function on here. That was the whole idea. So maybe that will do, but then we'll put in the event stream or something if we haven't already. No, okay, great. So then what shall we do is it'll go like this. Transport cost distribution can cover, and then you know what we'll do is we'll just extract this thing into a type later, and then for now let's just pass along a map. So transport chain, which is going to be a map of the positions, so position in mine, and then what do we do? Just who is present there, maybe. That should be good enough. player color, right? Oh yeah, we did have this now, which we don't really need because this is pretty much tied to a person that can handle Slotty, and it is a player. Maybe that name isn't very good, so let's make this player color. There we go. So that's something that we want to pass along to this transport cost distribution thing. And that's something that we're going to have to return. All right. Let's do empty map for now. Then create this function. So I want it to be a part of the transport cost distribution class and not an actual extension function, for example. Let's just do this is fine for now. It might return a Boolean, that's right. So if there is no transport cost distribution, then we should just return true, I guess. When is there no transport cost distribution? I think it's just when you don't intend to pay, and in that case you don't need to check because that happens before. I think. Actually, that's not even a check-in here. So if you don't do this, then you don't pay anything, and then you can still do your mining action, which is not very good. I guess we'll need to do that as a test as well. LOL. It's so funny that I've only come across that now. Let's see. Let's write another test that says when transport is required, a transport distribution is also required. And this is something that we'll need to implement as well. Okay, but we'll fix that in a bit, huh? We could check that a player has at least the same amount of miners than they're being paid for. Okay, so let's try and do this and add that to this part here. So what I want to do is I want to pass miners. Let's do this filter where in the positions the salt will travel, I guess. And this I think we need to get from this stuff. And I think, where is that stuff? Transporters needed. Here, in transport cost calculation, only there, okay. Yo, Zally TV, what's up? All right, so yeah, let's try and do this. Oh, I'm just thinking it's going to be so much shorter if we just refactor it in one go. What are you coding? Ha, that's a good question. I am trying to code this board game. It's called Magnum Sal. It's a game where the objective is to fulfill the orders of the king by going into the Polish salt mine, Wieliczka or something, and then yeah, fulfill the orders. And you can do that by going into the mine and keeping a chain going, then discovering new mine chambers and seeing what the mine holds of salt and or water, and then mine it out, and then just give it to a worker and present it to the king. Yeah, and in the meanwhile you can trade some salt in the market, buy some tools, gamble for simple money, go to the inn to hire more workers, or pump out some water if you're blocked by that. And the constraint I've chosen to do for myself is to depend on the event stream as much as possible. So we're using the event sourcing pattern, where instead of building up state by just having fields, we are able to do websites. I want to give a job. I am able to do websites. What do you mean what I want to give a job? That's not something I'm doing right now, is building websites. But yeah, you can check out some of my previous streams where I've built a web app using Kotlin as a backend and then Vue.js as a frontend. So yeah. Well, you want something similar to that style. Okay. That's cool. With a control panel to do restocks of your product. All right. How many copies to put into the stock? So it's sort of like a web shop, right? I think there are good platforms out there that have that features built in. No, the ones I can think of is Shopify, for example. But there are plenty of these web shops things. You don't like Shopify, okay. That's fair. I haven't really used any of those before, so yeah, can't give you those good tips that you're looking for, I'm afraid. Yeah. I think there are plenty of other products out there. I don't know how I know that Squarespace has like an integrated shop or web shop feature, but I don't know what tool that they use. But I still think you're better off, or you're going to be better off by buying something rather than coding it yourself. I mean, if you want to shorten time to market, well, if the design is the only problem, then that's usually customizable, right? Because I mean, functionality-wise, it should be okay. Let's think a little bit here. I want this, so I'll need a from a mine chamber thing. So let's add that. You need a front-end, back-end dev, but it needs to also be a designer. You mean they also need to be a designer? I see what you mean now. Yeah, okay. Ah, yeah. Then... Cha. There are some platforms out there as well where you can post this kind of work, and then you might get like Ukrainian coder, or for example. They're pretty good at those kinds of things. But I think you also want to think about maintainability. Yeah? So not just have one guy or girl write it once and then expect them not to do maintenance on it anymore. No one contacted you. Yeah, I don't know how to code well. Maybe what you could do is just pay someone for the design, and then have somebody else build that design into an application. At least that's how I would think about it anyway. You have a Python script but without a GUI. Are you able to create a UI on a Python script? Me personally, I know, definitely not. No. I'm also really not looking for work, because I've got a day-to-day job. Like tomorrow I've got the day off because I forget, it's like some kind of a holiday in Belgium. But for the rest, I work on I do programming for a living already. But I'm flattered that you would think of me as a good candidate for your project. How am I going to do this? So this one I don't care about, I guess, but the list, oh, it's a list of miners even. Oh no, this should still be map. And then at this point I will have apparently not the map I was looking for. Oh yeah, I think This is going to need to be a list, in fact. Because there can be multiple players in one position, right? So, and then that will be our transport chain, I think. Yeah. So this transport chain will include our own workers, so the workers of the player that's going to try and do mining there. And the thing I need to add here is at, because that's where I want to mine from. I think I'm going to switch up here is put the transport distribution a little bit to the back, so it becomes more obvious that that's something that's going to happen additionally. Alrighty, then what do we have? So we've got this transport chain thing. We'll change that. There we go. And then we can probably, I mean, it's going to be a good idea to write some unit tests for this transport cost distribution function, just to see how we can best code that. But then that should be that, I think. And in fact, now we already can see a little bit more of the duplication, because this, in addition to sort of this, is the same. Huh? The only difference here is that I've already mapped it to players. And then I can just do player not in, blah, and then we already have it, I think. So do I want to do that now before I start writing unit tests? I think I do, because otherwise I'll need to refactor those unit tests as well. So let's do that first. So before we do that, let's make sure we've got a bunch of running tests. I think we are only expecting one failure now. I'm still wondering whether I should try and make it green first. Normally, it's always best to do refactorings from green, but I might make an exception here. Be a little bit more pragmatic about it. Oof, we do have a couple of other failing tests though, that's not good. So this one I'm fine with failing, but the other ones should work though. That's probably because of this thing now. Yeah, because it's returning an operation is not yet implemented. I forget what I had here earlier. I can't even see because it was new code. So every player should have at least one miner in the transport chain. So I want this to return true. So basically what I can do here is just do return true, and then everything else should work still. And then we can write separate unit tests for this function. The other thing I could do now is No, I was thinking maybe I could just write a type alias for this, but that won't be enough. Still not yet implemented. Oh yeah, okay, also makes sense. It's the test that we're going to add. Okay, so this should be fine enough for me for now. And then I want to, where is, oh yeah, so we've got transport distribution thing inside of the Magnum Sal game, but let's extract that thing out of there and into its own file. This should be okay. Yes, add it to Git, please. Then maybe what I can do with this is move it to the economy thing, because in economy right now there's just zloty per player. Oh, we forgot to do Chris's to-do last time. Sorry. So last time there was someone in chat who noticed that this really shouldn't be a player color, but in fact a regular player. They were right. But we didn't do the refactoring. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't want to move that much stuff around. I really just wanted to move this out of there, so that I can create a new test for this. And what do we... Oh yeah, transport cost distribution. So here we can set up this transport chain the way that we want. But let's first make like an initial test for that so that we know what it should look like. Oops, maybe not name, but let's do the can cover function. Can cover the transport chain or something. Transport chain. Jesus Christ, I can't really. Okay. So first off, let's create a transport cost distribution. It's this thing, I think. Yeah. Then we pass along just a player. Let's do orange or something. And then what I can do is pay another player. Let's do like a little bit, like a non-trivial example already, maybe. So we'll pay white 2 zloty, and we'll pay purple, purple 3 zloty or something. That's going to be the distribution. And then I can cover, create a map, but now I already want to create a transport chain, which starts from position in mine. Let's just do the bottom or something. And then with minors at some position, or players, sorry, at a position. Or should I do minors? Transport, okay. That's better. Let's see. How do I want this to look like? Something like that, and then I want to add a list or a map. Maybe a map. Map of, can I do this? Yeah. And some pairs, so let's do white. No, wait, the key. So first it's at, yeah, that's the one. Let me also, in fact, use that there. So at 6, at 0, we'll have a list of orange. I think it's going to make a little bit more sense if I oh no, that needs to be there. Oh, and this needs to be 2. And then this is the bottom, so let's just try and do that. 2, 3, 4, 5. Add some commas. And now I want white to be at least present in 2 of them. And then purple in 3 of them. This is valid. Because then in total I wanted to pay white twice, or for 2 zloty, and purple for 3. And then it should already be okay. And that would mean that this distribution can indeed cover the transport chain, like properly. Let's do a little bit of that. And then maybe we can refactor this later to be a little bit nicer. Maybe instead of map of, we'll do having or something. Yeah, and then let's create this transport chain thing. Which should have this in the description, so it should be transport chain. Then we'll create a class. Let's create that just here. There we go. Does it need to be a data class? Maybe not for now. I think it's just utility for now. So and based on what do we want to create a transport chain? On the event stream? And yeah, maybe it's going to be nicer. Because in Magnum Sal we do have access to that event stream. And then we're also using the event stream to still build up the transport chain. Okay. The other thing is we were using the miners data class already. Let's go back to mine and then handle transport, and then we already were using, so that's this part here, miners, and miners is something that we also build up from an event stream, so maybe the transport chain can also be built up from an event stream. And then this signature here, we can have a test builder for that or something. Yeah, and then we'll just add some events on that thing there. Okay. We were at the transport chain. We were going to create it using a starting from, which is a position in mine. And then an event stream. And this will be a private val, the event stream as well. And then what we can then do, where is that stuff? It's basically this. That we will put in here. There we go. And then this bit we can yeah. We'll need to go like this. We'll inline miners from the event stream. Oh, from. Okay. And then we've got the internal map. It's just the internal map mapped by players. And then we'll have a transport chain. There we go. And now we can oh, starting from. Okie dokie. Then we can get rid of this, I think. Because it's going to be just from mine chamber, so then we can build a new transport chain here, just like that. And then starting from the mine chamber, and then this event stream. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And then I think, yeah, this we need to create on the fly every single time this thing happens, so we can't use it as a yeah, I think it's okay. The other thing I'm thinking of is that maybe we can just ask the miners to return a transport chain starting from that mine chamber. Which seems a little bit more cool, in fact. So I could go like this: miners, transport chain starting from mine chamber, and that will return a transport chain. This looks great. Yeah, let's do this instead, in fact. But maybe at a later time. So first let's try this. We've got that thing now. Sorry, file transport chain. There we go. And then we can ask our cost distribution. Can you cover this transport chain? And now we'll need to do some smart stuff where we check. Oh wait, no. First we need to, where is this transport cost distribution thing? Okay. So this one I want to build from a test builder or something. So we'll do test builder. Okay, this will create in here, sure. And then it'll have a transport chain. Let's make it a little bit easier for myself at first. And then we'll just write that as a something that's going to return all right, this looks a little bit nicer, I think. What the hell? One? No. Okay. All right, I think we've got something now. So this is a position in mind, that's sure. It doesn't need a default though. That's good. And then it'll take a block that has a map or yeah, a mutable map or something. Mutable map of position in mine and a list of players, right? Or maybe just a single player, in fact. Player. Oh no, it's a list of, okay, fine. List of players. And this is going to be the receiver, so what's that thing called again? Block or something? Uninspired. Was it like that? I don't remember. Creator. And it's something that returns because really this is just a listing, right? Maybe I could just make it a little bit different first. Let's just do it like this first. And block is something. Ah, yeah, that was the thing I wanted to do. It's something that will return a map of position and mine and a list of players, their colors. Okay. And then there's like a fun build which returns a transport chain. Starts at, and then a dummy event stream, right? And this thing, needs to be a val. And then we will initialize, or what we could do is, let's do this. Private val event stream is an event stream equals a new event stream. Okay. All right, that should do it. Do I need this init thing? Yes, because this block needs to then return or transform whatever's in the event stream here into this block needs to be converted into an event stream is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Or needs to push stuff. So we'll execute this block. And then we'll have a map. The transport chain. And I want to add, there we go, this thing so that we cannot make mistakes. Okie dokie. So then what we'll need to do is for every position and player combination, I want to put an event in the event stream. So let's do that, shall we? So for each, and then we'll have a position. So that's at, and then players. We can do event stream push a miner placed for player color first. Maybe I first want to flatten it though, so that I really just have combinations of positions and player colors. Yeah, let's do that first and then do this push, because then there should be player and the at. Okay, cool. Let's do that. So This will just move into comments first, and then we'll just map this, or was it that like flat map? Yeah, flat map. At layers, and then we'll with the player and then we'll do add to B. Oh, this does not need to be flat map, but just a map. And then we'll just have a list of pairs there, and then we can do for each. And then we'll have an add and a player, and then we'll do this. I don't remember why I don't want to do that. I just want to transform stuff. Yeah. So player and add. Okay, that should do it. And then we'll only have minor placed events though. I guess it should be fine for our unit test of the transport chain. All right. And then we'll just call build, and then we've got the event stream again. Right, and then this no longer is correct. So something that creates this map. So that should have been like map of this. Okay. And then here we do build, and then we've got a transport chain. Cool. I'm just looking at this and then seeing there's no benefit to having this in a block. Might as well just pass along a map as an argument. I was looking for something like this. So if you do width, then you can say what type it should do something on. So in this width thing, we've got the map. Right. How do you do that? So let's say that we have an empty map or something. And what we can do then is, or mutable map of, Position and mine, and list of players, player colors. There we go. And now we can do put or something. Yeah. And then I wanted it to read like this, but I didn't want to call the put myself. So maybe what that thing will turn into. Oh, yeah, you can't do that in fact. I think the best thing I can do is just have this I'm just taking it too far. Okay, I'll remove that and then just make this into a brace. And then we'll change this block thing into just a map, and then we'll call this map or chain. It should be the chain. There we go. And maybe this we can do in the build, because that makes a little bit more sense. There we go. All right. Okay, then let's get rid of this, the named argument, and it should be okay, no? Oh. No, then we do need this starts at and chain. Alrighty. Now we'll just use the default event stream here. Could be private. Yes, so could be the chain, I guess. All right, this is fine. Now we can just say assert that all of this is true. All right. Okay, let's do that. Run it, baby. That's interesting. What if I use this thing? Does it then work? Damn, this compilation is taking ages. I should probably upgrade at some point, right? Okay, hey, we've got a true coming, but I think that's just because... yeah, you know what? False, and then it should fail for the right reason, I guess. And then we'll add some more test cases, huh? Oh, FZ. Tell me, when is the next diabolical weekend? And how is your Guitar Hero like stream going? Did you try it out again? Can cover the transport chain? No. Can. Well, maybe that's where we cannot cover the transport chain. Or James took a run with the Kickstarter money. He chillin'. He's putting a lot of effort into his update streams then. Yeah. I heard a rumor that they were going to release the defrag part or the race competition part of it earlier than the rest. But I don't know how much of that is true or how much he's willing to do that. But I can't wait until we can play that game again. Jesus Christ. I'll need to create a new channel for that and then try hard doing Diabolical. July, August, yeah. It's basically what they said as well. Huh? Man, it's so late. It's so late in summer. But then if you think about how fast this last month has went, then I mean, it's not that bad, right? When can I not cover the transport chain though? Ah, okay. Well, that's good. It's always good to practice. That's what I'm doing right now. Practicing while streaming. Should try it sometime. See you. Thanks for coming to say hi, man. Good luck with the Apex. We've got different cases for when we cannot cover the transport chain. Huh? So there's or do we? Like the main example is more players to pay than the distribution allows, I want to say, but it's not allows. Holds maybe. So, and then in that case, we've got a chain. So for example, just like this. And then if we just pay purple 2, But then the total is messed up. So I will always need to pay 5 basically. So then if the total doesn't match... Wait, what was that test case that I had then in Magnum Sal test? One of the players you want to pay has no miner in the transport chain. So... no miners in the transport chain. So we'll do like this. And then what? Pay white 1 and purple what? 4? Yeah, okay. And this is not something that I wanted to say. So here it's distribution holds player that has no miners in the transport chain. Or I could just say holds player that's not in the transport chain. There we go. And here it should be false, of course. What's the other case? Just trying to think of cases now. I guess here you've got choices. This is like the overpaying thing. I also don't want to... Maybe it should also be in here is what I'm thinking. So when... But that's something we've covered already in a different test case. So let's move that gradually out of here then. And first just make this stuff work. Okay, let's implement this bad boy. So what I want to do here, I think, is to verify that the players I want to pay and that's the payment per player thing, huh? That should basically align with the transport chain. And this transport chain sort of looks like this. Oh, we don't have an actual... Oh yeah, we do. Here we've got orange in there. Just so that orange doesn't need to be taken into account. Okay, so let's do payment per player. Oh, it's so difficult to... It's difficult to get the payment per player aligned with the positions. Because salt is also needed to be, what's it called? To be included in the transport cost itself, right? See, now you can see that it's already attracting maybe too much of features that I already had in Magnum Sal itself, like in the main class. And I really just want to implement like a smaller bit of that in this one. So let's try and do that, payment per player. Now we can really just only take into account the positions, I think. So can we just do that? So can we check if we just count the amount of players? That will already be good, I think. So if I count... No, I need to do something different here. I want to transform this map. And I want to multiply. So it should be flat map, I think. Flat map of this is the player itself first, I think. Player Zloty. And then I want to go from 1 till Zloty. No, I just want to go player.repeat. Can you do that? Damn it. Okay, then Zloty for each, or map. Why can't I do that? Because you need to wrap that thing, maybe. And then always just return player. So now we've got an amount of players here that are going to be returned out of this. Amount of players. Actually, amount of times a player could be paid. And then for 1 cube of salt. Very big assumption there. And when we have that amount, then we can check that against the amount of players in the transport chain. So our transport chain thing is this. And I think what I could just do is count the amount of players on different positions or something. This is so difficult. I feel like I don't have enough information in this transfer cost distribution class. I had like a good approach in here somewhere, no? We could check that a player has at least the same amount of miners than they're being paid for. Yeah. But then this happens. Yeah. So maybe it's just not a good solution anyway. The other day, I was also wondering about what if I just split the mining action from the payment action, but you shouldn't be able to do the mining when you can't cover the transport cost. So I could do that with like undo events, so to speak. But I'd rather just make it impossible. It's a difficult decision to make. Yeah, I think this transport cost distribution just needs to have more information, I think. It will also need the amount of salt that you're transport or that you're using each miner for, I think. And then we would be able to verify that the information is correct. Or, well, if it's just one single, yeah, we can really just check the amount of miners. Like if they have no miners in the transport chain, then let's just try and do that first. So maybe we can even do just contains. Contains every player in here. And I think it's not contains, but all. And then this really shouldn't be an amount of players, but really just a unique. So we already have that because that's basically all of the keys. Yeah. Okay. Let's add that. This can be just a regular set. And here, let's move that a little bit down and make both of these private. And then we can check transport chain filter, no, all values, all. Oh, dang it. Don't care about the position. Do care about the players. And then all. Contains all. This is what I wanted. Contains all keys. And then we can just do that. So now we just check. Are all of the players that you want to pay present in the transport chain? That's this thing. Okay. Let's run the tests. This one. Okay, they both work. So then that also should mean that this now has a correct implementation. Then that means that I use that correctly here. And then that means that my Magnum Sal test should also work. So let's just run this single one. Because really, it's the only failing test that we have right now. It's still not working though. Why is that? Because orange is no longer present there. Ooh, they are present. It's just that they're present in a place where I don't need to pay. So let's add that to the test as well. Yeah, sure. And then we'll do orange, white, and purple. And then this test is going to fail probably, yeah? Oh, I reran the wrong test. In other news, my air conditioning still hasn't arrived yet. It was supposed to arrive on Friday. I haven't checked yet with the delivery company. This is weird. This is working. One, two, three, four, five. I was thinking now it should work because okay, let's just try to make it look like I think this is already enough, in fact. Oops. And really, I only need to pay purple once. or for multiple cubes. But yeah, it doesn't take into account, so now it should still remain false, but I mean, I hope it's going to fail now. Yay. I wonder what the difference was with the one before. Actually, it's a different test, right? That's not in the transport chain, so that would be EU out. Because orange is paying. But they'll only need to pay purple for one, and then white for nothing. And then here... that's in the transport chain, but not necessary to pay. But at a position occupied by the paying player. Okay, there we go, that's better. And here, this should return true, and no, it should also return false. Or actually, no, it should return true, is what I was saying. But it should fail for a different reason there, because white does not need to be paid. So the thing I've tried to do was make it a little bit different, but now it's only causing more confusion. I wanted to look like the failing test in the main one. So let's make white the player that's going to pay. They're going to pay orange. Orange. And then white is at the bottom. Okay. So orange is just nowhere to be seen here. I mean, in the actual transport chain. Here, orange is seen, but they don't need to be paid because you're at the same position. But theoretically, the distribution could cover the transport chain. Okay, so I've changed nothing to the implementation, and somehow this fails. Why does it fail? I mean, I'm paying orange extra, but they shouldn't. Oh wait, then one of my unit tests here is wrong, huh? Because that's this test case basically. So here I expect it to be false. then I don't think can cover is a good is a good name. Aha. Okay, now we can check more. So all players in distribution are in the transport chain, so that is indeed correct. But now I think what I'll do is go here, and this contains all, and then maybe what I'll do is... Wait, these shouldn't be values. Do I want to just exclude the player or something like that? Maybe that'll be a good idea. Make a transport chain for a specific player. That'll be better, I think, huh? Then we can already exclude that player. How do you call this player? Player that requires transport? Okay, now we need to fix some stuff probably. Mm-hmm. God damn it. Create parameter. Sure. And then here we just do player. And then there's something going on here as well. Or what? Oh, here we just use a transport chain. Same there, but then here we still need a player, right? So we'll also need here player that requires transport. Player color, there we go. And now let's see where this thing is used, because they will also need that player, right? Yeah. So first starts at, then this chain. That doesn't seem right. Event stream starts at player that requires transport. Let's see, it's a white, right? I think white, yeah. Yay. Okay. Let's run all these tests again. Wing. Oh yeah, I'm not taking the player into account in the implementation yet, but it's compiling anyway. Okay, so then contains all. And now what I want to do is exclude filter values. Player not in players. Because that position I already have covered, right? All right. Then let's go here, run this test. And then I think that should be fixed. Hopefully. I do not know. Oh-ho! Let's run all of the tests, and I think there's one test that we are still to implement. Yep, but all of the other tests are working. But there was a test where, or a scenario that wasn't covered by the transport distribution cost or that transport chain thing, which is when you try to pay, how was it again? Yeah, because it doesn't include overpaying somebody, for example. But all of that I have in my regular Magnum Sal thing. Okay, hang on. So this one should be an easy implementation. Famous last words. So transport is required, then a transport distribution is also required. So really can't pay more for salt transport than is required. So we've got a setup here where, oh hang on, because so we'll need this exception throwing stuff as well. So a white as no worker at the top of the mine shaft. That's their first action. They're trying to mine 2 cubes of salt with the transport distribution where they pay the black player twice 3 zloty. But they really don't need to pay pay 6, because what they need to pay is, I think it's just one spot that they need to pay for, no? And that's at 2. Or they do need to pay twice. Ah yeah, so they need to pay twice for 2 because it's 2 cubes of salt for 2 positions. So that's the transport distribution that we want to pay, but instead we're just not going to do anything. To pay for transport. And then we should verify also that there's no mining that happened. Does not contain salt mined, I think, for white, yeah, from to 1 and then white. There we go. I think this is going to fail, but I'm not quite sure. To pay the chain. Does not have enough money. But there's nothing about... So I was implementing all of these rules, but then you can just pass along null. Maybe that would be a little bit more explicit, in fact, if I just pass along null here. Oh, yeah, expecting code to raise a throwable. So they definitely need to pay, they need to pay 4 zloty in total. Okay, let's fix that real quick. Handle salt transport. Okay, you two have enough zloty to pay for salt. No, so that wasn't it. You two actually just pay for salt transport. When is that? Oi. Pay for false salt transport when you have no miners in that transport chain. Or not enough. Or when your miners can't cover the complete transport chain. There we go. And then, so it's not a slot. So we need to make sure that this transport distribution thing is not null when the transport cost is more than 0. And this isn't actually amount of transported salt to pay for. Oh, it is. Never mind. This is the total transport cost. So this is true, and this is not null, in fact. Oh, so that's not entirely true. I guess if this is null, then transport cost needs to be also 0. Let's first just write it like I just said. So if it is null, then transport cost needs to be 0. Otherwise, I don't care. It should just return true. Grr. All right, it's just a message. Yeah, I mean, that message is a way more explicit now, so let's choose that one. Allez. Yep. Okay, let's rerun it. This should be returning green, and then we can make this a little bit more comprehensible. It's not rerunning, is it? Oh, it is. Compiling, okay. There we go. Okay, so we can rewrite this like if it is not null, then we can just assume that the thing that you're, oh wait, this is the wrong thing I wanted to. So if the transport distribution costs, or transport distribution, cost distribution, if it's not null, then it's going to be fine, I guess. I mean, the other stuff will cover it. So that could be true, or if it is null, then the transport cost should be 0 as well. And then that's also fine. And then it should still work. And now we might have broken some tests where we didn't pass a transport cost distribution where there needs to be one. In the setup then, I mean. All right, so let's run all of the tests. Yes. There are some failing tests. Yeah, there we go. can't mine salt from the mine chamber twice. So here we should probably... all right, so these are tests where I check that normally you need to pay for this stuff, but so what I need to do is make a transport cost distribution for who's mining. It's white, so we need to pay strange. Oh, close a brace here. Pay. Who are we going to pay? I've got no idea. Is this just random or with a black player? Yeah, it's black player. Pay black. How much? I'm mining one thing. And I think I'm still at the top. But I'm also here. Oh, here we go. Remove worker from mine. So I'm not, it's just black that's at the... I guess to make my test a little bit more simple, the thing I could do here is have this set up. Or you know what, I could just do this and then be done with it. Seems fine by me, in fact. And then I'll need to, in fact, do this again. Oh. Okay, no, I changed my mind. Let's place a worker in mine here. So then I don't need to pay any transport costs. And we'll do that as my first action. So put worker, place worker in mine. Oh shit, no I can't because now it's not my turn anymore. Okay, then we'll do Magnum Sal pass black twice. Okay. That should fix that test. Jesus Christ, there's quite a lot of... Maybe it's going to be a better idea maybe to change this one. Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be one or the other. So I was thinking about not doing that. Because not doing this means having a test set up for like a composition of the mine where white doesn't need to pay any transport cost. Ah, but they need, wait, no. We need to do this because otherwise you can't put your miner in that position because they're limited to the amount of workers that they have. Okay, that's right. Then this won't work either. So in that case, let's revert our changes a little bit. And then this I'll need to add here as well. So let's just extract this transportation cost. And I think what I'm going to do instead is just this. Ne? Oh, these. Oh, yeah, okay. I'll need to do this then. Right? Come on, man. What's your problem? There we go. Well, I think it's so strange. Unresolved reference pay. Why? Compile it again, I guess. It should be working. That's the one we just fixed. Okay, here we go. This one, mining salt after the chamber was mined twice for some but not all the salt. So here we have the same thing. Ooh, no, this is a little bit different though. But we can see the complete setup here. So we've got white at 1, 2,1, 2,2, and then 2 more at 2, 1. So white will have... I don't understand why I would do that, but fine. Oh, black is going to mine some salt. Do they need to pay? Let's see. Yeah, black is not at the top, so they'll need to pay white. From black, pay white. Yeah, at least 2, because I keep forgetting this closing brace. Because they're mining 2 cubes of salt from 2,1 and they are at... They're just not at the top of the mine shaft. So that's what they'll need to pay. Then white will pay... Or will mine 1 block of salt at also from 2,1. And they are not at 2,0, so they will also need to pay 1, but just we go so to black, and then the white is paying black for 1. There we go. So in that constellation, white also should be trying to pay this to make it a legal move. You know what? Let's just rerun all of the tests. To verify that we've already fixed some stuff at least. Man, why am I tired now? Seems to still be failing, but all of the other tests are working, the ones that we fixed, so that's cool. Noise. Okay, let's check it out. So mining from a mine chamber without water. So this is also the setup where White is trying to mine quite a lot of salt. Let's just hope that they've got enough money and by default to pay for this, but I think they do. So White is going to have to pay Black at least 3 zloty, but I think that's okay. All right. And then the next one. Here we are. Here we should pay Black for 4 because that's the amount of salt cubes, and here for 2. Okay. Let's also immediately fix this one. So here we pay Black for 1. Because again, White is just not at the top of the mine shaft. I mean, is at the top of the mine shaft, but not in the cross section. And here they are again. Let's run all of the tests, and then I think we've covered all of the cases. I think it's weird that in my previous attempts, or yeah, as you can see, like this test breaks quite a lot of, or this implementation that we just added breaks a lot of tests. And I think it's weird that I haven't checked this before. Or ran into this problem before, is what I'm trying to say. Phew! That was quite a long run there. Okay, so introduced transport chain to check versus transport cost distribution. Okay, and after I've pushed this, I'll go take a little break and get me some water. Make sure I hydrate some. Commit. Then we'll try and go over all of the to-dos that are left. I think there's still quite some refactoring possible there because there's a definite relation between the transport cost distribution, the thing that you intend to pay, and then how much it actually costs or what it requires. And now they're not at all coupled together properly. So this will just rename as well. Maybe we can inline this. Yeah. Okay, let's take a break. I will be back in a couple of minutes. See you in a bit. All right. Let's continue. Did grab some water. I also had a fruit, which is nice. Yeah, I think what I want to do here is add something that says transport cost distribution transport chain and transport cost are well, no, wait, are coupled, but there's low cohesion. So ideally I want to have them all into one single concept somehow, and that's currently not the case. So maybe all of this transport thing needs to be into one class. Oh right, and then this refactoring, this I think we should be able to do already, no? I think we ran all of the tests before, so I'll just need to rerun. And this, I should just be able to recreate. So yeah, I think the only thing I'll need to do here is create a transport chain starting from mine chamber for player with the event stream, and then why is this amount important? Oh, just to get a total transport cost. We should call it transporters needed, huh? Needed. And then we only need to do this. It's just a count that I need to do there. Because I already take into account that, I mean, I already exclude the player that it requires a transport, so I think that should be that. That can remain an integer, sure. Sure. Let's get rid of that. Let's rerun all of the tests. I am so sorry. You had to witness that. Let me blow me news. All right. I blame pollen. Let's commit that. Using transport chain to count transporters needed. Okay. And then what? Are we going to try and work towards this, or deal with some other painful stuff like this? Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just looking at where this transport chain is used and how close they are in the code. So you can see this is being called here, and that's where transport chain is going to be called. And here is a transport cost, which is used twice. And here it's used in combination with that transport cost distribution, because yeah, but really not, I mean, it's not really. Here the salt is also included in that calculation. We could also do like calculate the transport cost using this, a salt to mine. On a transport chain. I was already thinking about a way of checking that the transport chain, if you also include the what's it called, the amount of salt to mine, then that becomes like a transport action basically, and this transport action needs to be solvable by a transport cost distribution. So then we can just compare, is it a solution to the transport action that you want to execute? And that would make a lot more sense. But I'm not really sure if I want to do that now. This looks like it's also pretty long, the stuff that I have now. Yeah, maybe then this can cover is going to turn into can cover a transport action. And then it'll be a little bit more easy to solve, I mean to implement. And then this transport cost distribution will need to have like salt, the amount of salt that you need transported as well. But that stuff, we know because it's right here. Maybe what we could do is like do the combine this with the salt to mine inside of the mine action here. Or rather here, maybe. And then we don't need to pass it along. Yeah, you don't need to know it as a client of this handle halt transport, salt transport function, huh? So we've got the cost that is like one aspect of it, and then this is like having miners present in the chain, the transport chain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I still want to finish this before I move on to something different, because it's like otherwise it will remain incomplete. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that. The other thing that I was thinking about is whether or not I need like actual player information, but I don't think that I do. Allez, not there, maybe here. Salt to mine, that's a transport cost, but zloty for player does require it. But that we already covered in this thing. And here we are gonna be comparing, I mean, it's just zloty that we're going to be returning. Should be a player, not a player color. The moment we do this, let's do that one. We'll have to modify both of this. Or we'll need to find a way to make a player out of the player color. And we don't have that information aside from in the payment event. So that's really annoying. So and this player is a person that can handle zloty. I'm regretting that decision, I think, yeah. Because a bank isn't a person either. It's just something that can handle zloty, I guess. Other time. We'll do that another time. How am I going to make sure that there's more cohesion then? I mean, all of these transitions I think could move to can, or just like a thing that says try to solve transport with this distribution, so to speak. Where the distribution has the salt to mine as well. Or something. I mean, it's always going to come down to the way you distribute. I mean, because here the only thing you're saying is I want to pay this player this much money, and that needs to be some kind of solution for your mine transportation action. So if you say I want to pay purple 3 zloty and orange 2 zloty, then you're mining. Then there's always like a bunch of combinations that are possible. How do we do that? Can cover a transport chain, but then I think I really need salt to be included there. And then it will become a little bit better. Huh? So really what I'm missing is just test cases for this, because it's not complete. And then what I think I should do is move these transition requires things into that into this can cover function, because there's a plenty of different things that can go wrong. Oh, here transport cost is used as well. That's 3 times. And here there's a closer relation as well between the transport cost distribution and that thing. I think this is like the only check that doesn't include the transport cost distribution. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so all of these should move to can cover. How do we go about doing that? I mean, I do have all of the tests there, aside from the different combinations when you have like a more difficult distribution. So maybe I can already start refactoring. Let's start doing that. Actually, it's attempt to execute distribution. And then we'll move this down. You want to mine, player wants to mine salt at that position and wants to pay it with that. Okay. Pay for salt transport when your miners can't cover the complete transport chain. Right, so there's like two things then. If transport cost distribution is null and it doesn't cost anything, then we can just execute. Maybe I can split that up and go like if transport cost distribution equals null. So in that case, then this also needs to be 0. Because then if this is null, then really the only thing we should do is not pay, in fact, and then we're finished. And then else we'll need to do all of these things. I think that's already a little bit better. Let's rerun the tests for that to verify that. All right. The other thing that we could do now is to well, this is really like paying for the distribution. And then the handle salt transport is called after this salt mine thing. Why are they all like this, by the way? Okay, so that was using the pump house. So okay, here we are again attempting to execute the distribution. Yeah, the thing I was thinking about is maybe instead of just doing this and not returning anything, we could return null here or an empty list or something, and then here we could just return that, and then we could move actually paying for those transactions, because you know, I mean, executing transactions should maybe also push stuff on the event stream, but then I'd need to pass the event stream, and then the actual events happen here. Do I want to do that? That's the other thing I could do, of course. And nothing happens. You don't need to pay anyone if there's no one that needs to be paid for this transport cost. And that is indeed correct if you didn't pass anything. But otherwise, so when you do have a transport cost distribution, you want to check that the total to pay can cover the total transport cost. And for this, we require a transport chain. Maybe what I can do is try to go like execute distribution or something. And then within execute distribution, we can do execute transactions. So this else block would turn into this. Execute. And then it would look like this. And then we can just move all of this. Oh yeah, I would need the event stream as well for that, I think. And the salt to mine, and the player, and the position, I guess. Oh, I could call it transport action, which could then include the transport chain. And we've got the player, the mine chamber, and then the salt. I mean, we also could just create this salt to mine, player, and add. And then this would also be attempt to execute, I guess. And then as a result, there could be events, also a list of payment transactions that come out of there. Wasn't there like a thing where I needed the stream as well? Yeah, here. Okay, so let me actually make that a little bit more explicit. Sure. Okay. So then I not only need the event stream to execute the actions, but also to check or to create a transport chain. Yeah, so then this thing would also need the event stream. I could also try to do it the other way around. Meaning this. When covered by transport cost distribution, we'll do push. We'll still need the event stream. Push it from stream, push it to. This looks nice, huh? It's also the first time that I thought about maybe you should also call this transport salt action. That also makes this already the salt that was successfully mined, so maybe we should make that more explicit. Salt mined. Oh, I hate this. It's so much more leaning towards the undo stuff that I thought about earlier. Oh well. So here, salt mined, because we've already passed those checks. Why was it again that I needed the event stream in this part? Right, because I need to create a transport chain, and that's part of the transport salt action. I'm just trying to figure out if I can easily create this like right away, or what are the in-between steps that I'll need. It's very hard to think about. So this is, I think, easy enough to make. And this when covered by thing should just be like an if else. If this which one is it? I could put all of these transition requires things in there. And then I think we can move all of these things in here. Oh, actually, Yeah, I mean, it's not that I want to execute the transactions, but when they're covered by the transport cost distribution, because I mean, a transport salt action where I don't need to pay anything to other players would also return true. Then it's also covered by a transport cost distribution. But then I don't want to push events, payment events, I mean. So maybe when covered by is not a great choice of name there. I mean, it is when you don't take this into consideration. I was just thinking about replacing all of that with just this. We can do the rename later. That's also something that we could do. And then this, I don't like the attempt to execute stuff. In fact, I also want to rename that. The weird thing about this is that this transport salt action is only being used to pay players. So it's not like a physical thing where it results in people getting salt out of the mine, because that happens during the actual mining, like as a result of stuff being passed here. Maybe that should be included in the handle salt transport then, this last event. Because that would be the end result here. And in that case, maybe just have this thing return events, and then just push all of the events that came out of it on the stream. Okay. Maybe what I can do, I think I'm gonna stick with this. This is gonna go, and then I'm just gonna try and create that. Let's just put it in a separate class so that it's a little bit obvious. Hopefully this will just all work. Okay. And then when covered by something like this, then the thing that's going to come out of it at this point are the stuff that's coming out of that, which is a list of payment transactions. And the thing that it takes is it's going to be all of this stuff at the very end, and then the same signature that this for each has. So a T to a unit. Let's see if IntelliJ can. This is like the, we'll call this block or something. And this is not just blah to unit, but rather a payment transaction. There we go, there it already compiles. And then what I need to do is, yeah, I mean, move all of this into here. Oh no, the transition require stuff is part of Magnum Sal. No, it's not, okay. So that's fine. I have no idea what this thing is. The debug stuff, okay, yeah. That I think we'll need to pass along as well. So this is a Boolean. By default, it's false. And these should all be vals, in fact. Maybe even all private, because there's no sense in making them available for other users of this transport salt action. You just want to create it and then execute it somehow. So that would be this, and then for each I want to execute block. This debug thing, that is a function in in here. What the hell am I going to do with this? I could make it yeah, I don't know. I have got no good idea about this. That sucks. Okay, maybe I'll just get rid of this for now. Or I could just copy this, of course. And then this debug enable is going to become this. There we go. Okie dokie, now I need to have the transport cost thing. Where was that? Alright. This, since I need it still here, I'm just going to duplicate it. Or move it to salt mined, maybe. Yeah, let's do that instead. Fucking hell, transporters needed. No, I can't do that, in fact. Okay. All right. So just copy paste stuff, make it work, then refactor it until we've got something better. Then there's this one, which I think we can just remove, but I'll leave it there for just a second. Okay. There we go. Now I think we can really just get rid of all of this stuff. And all of our tests should still be working. So that means this can go. I really hate that I need the transporters needed for this transport cost and that I need the transport cost here as well. Wait, I also needed a higher. It's not just within this part, it's also here. I think it's going to have to make sense that I will build the, what's this thing called again? The transport chain, yeah. I think it's going to make more sense to build a transport chain outside and pass it to this transport salt action, because then I can keep that transport chain stuff in here and then this in here as well. Okay, let's just first check if all of the tests are working. Phew. This is a tough refactoring we're doing. So we're trying to solve this, and I think having this transport action is going to be fine. Hey, there we go. So that's already like a huge step. And then transport cost. I mean, we could include this and this into this salt action execution thing, because what happens here is we stop early, because then stuff breaks. Here also we stop early. So I mean, we could just move everything there, and then we'll just have and then also it starts to make more sense because this transport salt action is basically handle salt transport, but it becomes a little bit more Yeah, then we'll have improved the cohesion. Huh? Okay, let's try and do that. So we can do, oh no, no, Zloty for player. That's easily reusable, I think, so maybe it should be okay. This is, I just noticed this now, that it's not a lazy property, but the laziness is in here. I don't know why I did it like this, I forget. Because now it's not apparent anymore that it is in fact lazy, huh? Let's try. Okay, so what I want to do is all of this stuff. I want to move here. And then the else should be that. This should then become an optional, which is still fine. Then we can get rid of that because it's now included there. And then we can also move this a little bit higher in there. Move that here. Then we need this thing all of a sudden. So where this can go. Then I don't think we have a use for this anymore either. Yeah. And then we can just inline this. And then we'll need that zloty per player. This in the salt action. Oh, and I'll need that function as well. Which we really should just inline, right? Where do we use that? In the pump house. Now it does not become apparent anymore that there's duplication between the zloty check, let's say, for the pump house action and the mining salt action. Now I'm just thinking, how will I tell my future self in the best possible way that I knew that there was, or that my future self can see that there is in fact duplication there. I'm too tired to think about that stuff. Jesus. The also thing, the other thing I don't like is about this this debug. That really should be like, how do you say that? Put on an interface instead of duplicated. I think what I will do is just do this in here. Okay, let's run the tests again, and then they should still work. I think it makes a little bit more sense now, though. Okay. Let's call it introduced transport action tying together distribution and what else was it? Transport costs. And there was something else, but I forget already. Oh yeah, and miners in, or just transport chain. Before it was that function that did this cohesion, but then it meant that we had a bunch of methods like all of these straight in the Magnum Sal class, just like we have for a water pump now. I just noticed, in fact. We should probably, I mean, it's going to turn into like a CQRS. Fucking hell. With reusable rules or something like that. But in fact, mining consists out of actual mining and then handling the transport of the salt you just mined. I think it would look a little bit cooler as well if we would rewrite this to return the salt we effectively mined and then pass that to this handled salt transport. So this is done. Oh my god, I just noticed something. We can rewrite this again like an equals or something. Just like we did with the other checks. Where was that? Like this one, only in player's turn. But I'm not sure if it's nicer that way. Might not be. So, trying to execute the salt action when that transport salt action is indeed covered by the transport cost distribution. And well, in that case, maybe we should rename this to the transaction, because now it's no longer clear. There we go, payment transaction. Nice, not nice. Thoughts? Yeah, let me know what you think. Could use some feedback. Push it. What time is it? 5:30. Let's check if we have other to-dos than the one that Chris... No, we don't. Shit. Don't want to fix that one. Meh. We could still... Oh, right. We still haven't taken into account properly the other things there. Oh, maybe that's like a good... a good thing to do, in fact. So this is the actual... Can be covered by... Maybe since I've named it like this, maybe I don't think this needs to be a question mark anymore, right? That's also nice. Oh, right, and then the transport chain, that should remain the same, whether that be for transporters needed here or here. So I think I'll create this transporters needed earlier. Yeah, let's do that. Call it transport chain, maybe. This, let's make it into a property. And then I think we can do this. I'm not sure anymore. Oh, this is at. Yeah, we create this on the spot so it's no longer lazy there. But I think that's fine, because the moment that we create this transport assault action, creating this transport chain is good. This, I mean, I'm indifferent to that. But now I can use transport chain. Where is it? Here as well. So I can just get rid of that, in fact. And it should be the same. Okay, now it's starting to get into place a little bit nicer. Okay, get rid of that. Maybe just inline this? Nah. This we can remove. It's too trivial. Transport cost now no longer needs player and at. All right. Ooh. Now what I'm thinking about is that I could maybe just ask the transport chain how much the cost would be to transport this amount of salt. Ooh, that looks much nicer. Wait, because I've already done some refactoring up. Yeah, that's gonna be much nicer. Let me just do that. Let me first run the test. Oh, and then add a to-do. Figure out a way to remove the duplication with debug in Magnum Sal. Maybe introduce debuggable interface, something like that, because then I can just put this function on a debuggable interface as an extension function. Hey, all right, there we go. That works. So this was some cleanup of unused stuff. Now that we are creating a transport chain in the transport salt action. I mean, we could have done this before, while when all of this code was still in Magnum Sal, but somehow it just came out with this and not with the other one. So there we go. Right, and then I wanted to reverse this, right? So I wanted to check transport cost needed. I want to rewrite this. Let me just try and do that. Transport cost 2, just so you get a better idea. So we'll do transport chain. Transport cost 4, and then we'll do salt mined. And then what that will do, or should do, is salt the mined is this, and transporters needed is basically an internal function. So yeah. Let us do that. Okay, yeah, basically it's this. It's this with the debug statement. So really it's just that. Then I won't need that anymore, but let's do it safely. Do not care. Oh, this damn debugging thing is going to... Maybe we'll just not care about the debug stuff. All right. Then I'll just do this. Transport cost 2. Salt mined. And we'll inline this. And then we no longer need this. Cool. Now, do I want to still inline that? I don't think I do. This looks great. Okay, and here we moved transport cost calculation to transport chain. Commit. We can push that. Oh, Jesus. There's a bunch of stuff I no longer need there, apparently. because I'm using the transport chain that I've already built up. Really, that thing was like the glue in between everything, apparently. Debug, I don't think is... I still use, okay, never mind. Okay, some extra cleanup. Thanks to using transport chain. What other, sorry about that, stuff can we do? Yeah, I mean, now this just needs to have more info, right? I think we have all of the information we need, no? No, we needed to add the amount of salt. To this chain. And from the chain, we also use... Yeah, nothing, we just check this. Yeah, I think we need to pass salt. That's going to be transported. Let's do it like this. And then also here. Okay. Right, and now we just need to fix this, and for this we do have unit tests. Which are now dead. Let's just create some salts. Okay, I think everything is compiling. After this is finished, I'm gonna look for someone to host and then call it a day, and then we'll see you tomorrow. Normally, because I really hope to be streaming again tomorrow. Shouldn't be a problem. Got the day off, so. Now, I mean, we haven't. Did we run the tests? Oh, we are now. Okay. So already introduced salt mined to take into account in can cover impl. No tests yet for that though, so all right. And then yeah, the one thing I still wanted to do was to run all of the tests of all of the entire package, because we might have broken something. Except I haven't, so yay. All right, let's look for somebody to host from the LiveCoders team, of course. And then we'll check in with you. I mean, you can just check in with me tomorrow. So that's team/LiveCoders. Let's see, because last time I wanted to host Chael Codes. She was just about to stop streaming. I have no idea what this view rails. Let's check out what she's talking about. All right, let's just host her anyway. This looks cool. It's view. So here we go. Host Chael Codes. Okie dokie. Thank you for watching. And then, yeah, I hope to see you tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to be somewhere next week anyway. Alrighty. See you. See you tomorrow. Peace. Thanks for watching. Appreciate